learned that you could actually talk over these, that you could turn your microphone off. It's kind of cool. Hey.
Yeah, that's like the least bad mistake we learned using StreamYard for a number of things.
I still remember the days of us, like, one person would do the top half of the head and one would do the bottom, and then we'd have, like, it was amazing.
Back when we used to have, like, shows with more than 2 people on them.
Right. Well, hey, we D&D, we could do it a 3-person.
Or we could just do, like, a whole human centipede.
Whew.
Welcome to book club.
Hey, it's Wednesday. It's the first Wednesday of the month, which means I'm hanging out with Alec, and we're looking back at noteworthy books from the previous month. So November's noteworthy books, which means we're going to talk about this guy right here, this Doctor Strange,
Mr. Baggy Eyes.
Yeah, he does have the ball sack under his eyes. We're going to talk about some indies. Behold Behemoth, Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, and we might even have some time for some Poison Ivy and other noteworthy books that we want to throw in the mix while we're talking. Sound like a plan?
Sounds all right.
Let's scroll back up here. We got Entropy in Comics, Kevin tailgating. This was about 2 hours ago. He was in here early. We got Old Wolf, my man Tony. He was in here about 15 minutes early. Krista, right on time. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me. No,
on time twice in 1 week is more than John can say.
It's impressive. And JP can't chide me because I basically rolled right on cue there. So Perry, he's a gamer now. He went from comics to watching movies to now he's gaming.
So living the dream.
Just rolling through. Hey, no, you didn't miss it, Mark. You are here. It is happening, and we're gonna give you some good info here soon, or just talk about it. With kids, watch it. There you go. Sorry, my bad.
I mean, it was my off-color joke. So
yeah, I just took it to another level. So yeah, this is book club. We are looking at the books from November. We got a little stack here, and I'm assuming that we're going to kick it off with some Tradmore discussion because I feel like this is the book that I want to talk about most. I don't know about you.
Yeah, let's get into it. So
Tradmore dropped issue 1 of Doctor Strange Fall Sunrise. It was just last week, wasn't it? It was just last week.
Might have been maybe last week, maybe 2 weeks ago.
And I will say, kick it off, I really enjoyed this. It gave me some black, Silver Surfer black vibes. Maybe it's just the artwork that did that, because obviously he did both. But
I mean, both like kind of trippy out there, multi, like outside of the realm of reality type stories. So I definitely can see the parallels for sure.
And in both cases, these are characters who, at the time when they wrote these stories and put these out, the hero had been kind of removed from continuity. Silver Surfer, at the time of that story, had been sucked into a black hole rescuing the Guardians of the Galaxy. Here we have the death of Doctor Strange preceding this. And we have a new Doctor Strange currently. And so this is kind of carrying on in the same vein of, what happened to the character? Where did they go? What's going on?
Which, like, I certainly am not a comic skater, but one strange thing, no pun intended, is that why, like, his name is Stephen Strange, right? Like, right. That's not so why isn't the new Strange book just called Sorcerer Supreme?
Dr. Clea.
Right. Like, why is it called Strange? It's not about Strange.
I don't think she's a doctor either.
Well,
as far as I know,
I mean, I guess it's just like to keep the IP, but it just doesn't make sense in this case. Like, I'm all for female Thor. I'm all for Miles being Spider-Man, whatever.
Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen.
The Ghost Spider.
Spider-Gwen's her own thing too.
Right. Some comics by the Bay.
Yeah, I don't know. This one, that I know it's off topic because it's not about this book, but just I don't know. Sometimes I wonder what Marvel's thinking with this stuff.
Yeah, I don't read Doctor Strange usually. In this case, I'm only picking this book up because I knew it was Trad Moore, and I opened it up when I was at the shop just to kind of glance at it, and of course was just overwhelmed by the creative majesty that is Trad Moore. I think Perry called it LSD art, and I wouldn't go that far, but I certainly feel like his is a style that is so unique. And I feel like it suits worlds that are beyond our own.
Yeah, it's
right? That are
definitely
not
like
our world.
A lot of comic art is not based in reality. Even the
Right.
stuff that like looks realistic is still not based in reality. But this is definitely bending the laws of reality. It's definitely more about making the art look the way he wants it to look than make it look like something that is actually realistic.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And it's definitely not for everybody. Like I feel like it's a real love it or hate it type of situation.
And I remember when we were talking about Silver Surfer Black, we ran into that a ton with people saying it just is not for me.
Yeah.
I can't deal with it. I can't buy that. Versus Krista says I can buy that. So for me, though, it worked so phenomenally well with Silver Surfer Black that I'm kind of on board when he gets the right subject. It's for me, it feels like a no brainer. How did you feel about this first issue? Oh, should we talk the plot over? I guess.
Yeah. Good luck.
I mean, that's kind of tricky. He sort of wakes up in this fevered limbo place, and he's like speaking to weird entities. Just like, I don't know. I honestly struggled to describe the exact plot.
Yeah. It's out there. Perry says, imagine if we lived in a universe that everything looked like that. That would be so cool. I'm going to blow your mind here, Perry. If everything looked like that, we would not think anything of it. That's just how reality would look.
So there's like this weird beast that he's like trying to battle, but when he fights it, he sees that there's like, he understands it a little bit, like through its heart. He connects to it. Yeah, and then I mean, I don't know how I'm going to explain this plot.
You're the one who said you wanted to explain the plot.
Trying, and then it's like there's definitely like a quest element where he's like on a journey,
and there's like chapters to it.
Yeah, and as he sort of forges along this unusual landscape, he's being confronted by a lot of both literal and figurative challenges. So in that way, it's a classic like road Hobbit, Lord of the Rings journey kind of thing going on here.
But the action scenes are very impressive.
So like, I mean, I don't know which ones you want in particular, but
there's like a 2-page spread with like at some point.
So here he's journey. He finds a forest. 2-page spread here, huh? I mean, every page is just buck wild, so it's kind of like hard to like be like, oh, that's that one.
It's towards the end, I think.
Okay. This is the exciting part of the show, I know. I just think he really
it's super unique. Like, love it or hate it, like it is. You're not picking up a lot of books off the shelves that look anything like this.
This one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Really just like a creative use of the paneling, color, just a lot of energy.
The way he does his cape is like very graphic, and like it just turns into weird shapes, and it's like almost the opposite of a McFarlane cape, because a McFarlane cape is like going in all different directions, where this is just like almost a single line.
Yep. So then there at the end, it seems like he is captured. He's taken in, and this villain is bringing him to their lair, I guess.
Yeah.
The city.
Tricky Trapster, yes. Trad is writing it as well as doing the art.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is kind of a one-man show. I don't know who Heather Moore is, if that's his wife who does like inking for him or coloring or whatever. Lettering. Let's see. Does it give her specific credit? The colorist is Heather Moore. So there you
go.
Scott, what's going on, man? We were just talking about Fall Sunrise, Doctor Strange. So what are your thoughts on it?
So my first thought is that, like, and this is supposed to sound like a compliment to Marvel. I was very surprised that they published something like this, especially with a character that they're kind of banking on for their next like phase of movie stuff, because this book is out there. Like it is does not feel like a Marvel book art wise or writing wise. Like I don't want to say I'm not smart enough to have understood it, because I think it's just my ADD where, like, if something is not written like fairly directly, if I'm not paying super close attention to it, I just like read the words, but they just don't enter my brain. And like the way it's written is very beautiful, but like you said, trying to describe the plot is like, I don't know what it's about.
And JP's like, so he was on a quest to get captured. I think he's on a quest to find his way home. It seems to me that he knows he's lost and that he doesn't understand where he is and what's happened.
Yeah, he seems pretty confused about his situation.
Whatever world he's been trapped in, this female character with the like dominatrix mask or whatever has clearly stopped him on his way, right?
Yeah. Scott Hazelwood says, "Oh, nice. I liked the Doctor Strange book, but I'm not sure I understood it. Welcome to the club."
I mean, that's fair, right? What's up, Callie? Yeah. So for me, like I got everything I wanted out of it, in that it was a feast for the eyes.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. The art is worth the price of admission for me, like on its own, no matter what.
And I don't see this as being like, oh, they're gonna make a Doctor Strange movie out of this at any point. This feels more like a chance to eventually bring him back to life.
Sure, right.
And do it in a way that's very unusual and interesting.
This is their return of Bruce Wayne, where he has to go through this journey to make it back to reality. What I meant by the comment about Marvel banking on him for the next round of movies is not so much like that they're going to pull on this for that to like turn this into a movie, but that fans coming into a comic store looking for a Doctor Strange book are going to pick this up and say, I don't understand this.
It's not going to be the thing that makes them come back to read more Doctor Strange per se. Or it's not a jumping on point, right?
Or more comics in general. Like this is for a niche audience.
Versus something like Strange Academy, which would be the thing that would easily bring new people in, because it's not asking them to have a ton of prior knowledge, right. And the plot is very linear.
So I mean that's just, but like I congratulate them for taking the risk, because I think it's, you know, a beautiful piece of art. I'm just surprised they didn't do it with some less important character to their brand.
Gotcha. I don't know, and I'm curious if it will be. My hope was that it was going to be the way in which they solve his death and bring him back.
Yeah,
it might just be that it might just be that it's a standalone story and it's its own thing. I think Silver Surfer Black kind of worked out that way, where they basically, I thought they were going to bring him back to life, but they kind of killed him. I mean, spoiler alert for Silver Surfer Black. He basically dies at the end. And I thought it was really cool, really well done. I loved it. But it was an interesting way. I thought the whole point of the story would be to save Silver Surfer and bring him back. But they went the other way with it.
Yeah. But also, you know, that was written by Donny Cates, who is Marvel's golden boy. So he probably just got carte blanche to do whatever he wants. Where
I mean, probably.
Like, I feel like, you know, as we said, Tradmore is divisive, and like I'm not super familiar with his writing. He's certainly not like a superstar writer like Donny Cates is. So
yeah, no, I agree.
I wonder what the executive meetings looked like or the publisher meetings looked like when it came down to like pitching this or greenlighting it or whatever.
So I'm assuming you're going to get the next issue.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I mean, I definitely am.
I'll just, if nothing else, I'll flip through it and look at the art if I'm like, well, I still don't understand what this story is about.
Yeah, I mean, Silver Surfer Black was far more linear, but to your point, like the writer dictates a lot of that plot device stuff versus I think this is really still trying to figure out what it is.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I really loved the way it was written. Like it has like narration sort of and speech dialogue, but like they kind of cross over at times and blend and like almost not have a conversation with each other, but like finish each other's sentences. So I don't know if it's his internal dialogue versus what he's saying out loud, but like it's a unique way to do it. And I thought, like I said, like I liked the words, I just didn't understand their meaning a lot of times just because I'm a dummy.
I don't think that's what it is. I think I haven't yet to find somebody that, besides maybe Tradmore, who really knows what this book was all about. What's up, Warlord?
I might have to sit down with it and like put on noise canceling headphones and just like really give it a go.
Well, more than likely when I read the next issue, I'll probably have to read both together.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the way to go. Okay. I would probably give that, I don't know, an 8 out of 10, 8.5.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere in that range.
I'd probably be around 7.5 just because like, even though I'm going to buy the next issue, which is, that's a very low score for me to say I'm going to buy the next issue. Like the fact that I finished the book and said, I have no idea what I just read is a detriment to it. Like for better or worse, like it is a risky comic to make and to, in a style, which like really felt like a serious indie book.
Definitely.
And I loved the art. I loved the way it was written. But when you finish a book and say, like, literally, I have no idea what I just read, like, I got to knock off some points for that.
That's fair. That's fair. Which one do you want to do next? Do you have a preference?
Yeah, if we're gonna do the 2 Boom titles,
yeah,
I would like to talk about Behold Behemoth first.
There you go. You want to kick us off here with this? So this is Boom Studios' Behold Behemoth from Tate Bromball and Nick Robles.
Yeah. So the story that we're introduced with is that there's this. It starts with a funeral, and this guy's brother just passed away. He was a police officer, I believe.
Sure.
And his ex-wife / partner is also at the funeral after, like the brother and this cop kind of talk after the funeral's over, but he has this like vision of him and his brother as kids, and the brother is like going to leave to try to save them for some reason. It's very like shrouded in uncertainty about what you're reading at that time.
I was gonna say it's funny that we did these 2 books back to back because both not linear and very confusing plots. Because this one jumps around a ton.
Yeah, but like at least I understood scene to scene what this one was about. So after the funeral, this guy has to go to work, whatever, and he's some sort of works for Child Protective Services or adoption, whatever. He goes to this house and he's talking to this guy about his kids who haven't been in school lately. So he's coming to like do a welfare check on the children, and he notices one of the young girls has like a black eye, and the father is kind of like trying to write it off. And then like all hell breaks loose, and you don't really see what happened, but you see that he is called back to the scene and finds that like the house is completely destroyed and the girl is hiding under the sink. And you kind of get the impression that like he is responsible, that he like went crazy and killed everybody. And so he tries to talk to the girl, and he tries to like relate to her to get her to come out of the sink.
And that's when he like reaches out to her here, and she
Yeah,
like
and
has
she's
this weird
like,
connection to
no,
him.
not again, not again. And you think that like she is seeing him as this monster. And like he loses time in the book a few times. So, and he, he's on these pills and stuff, so you don't really know what's happening. But then he goes to the police station after he loses time again, after the girl says not again. And he goes there, and that is also destroyed, and there's just blood everywhere. And the little girl comes walking out covered in blood, and it turns out she's the one who did it all. And then it jumps way into the future, into the post-apocalyptic world where he is protecting her and they're on some sort of journey. Did I cover about all of it?
I was impressed. I'm very, very impressed with that update. Mark asks, how can I give it a high score even when I don't understand what it is? I'm a complicated guy. You can't put me in a box.
Yeah.
Callie says, when I have trouble with narratives, I ask myself how much was edited out that they deemed unnecessary. Sometimes just offhand panels can give you depth to a storyline. It's true. So then, what was your takeaway then for Behold Behemoth?
I loved it. I haven't talked to you at all about it, but I get the sense that I enjoyed it a lot more than you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I just thought like stories that don't spoon feed you everything. I really like it was followable, but you still didn't know what was going on. So like that, what I said earlier about it being scene to scene, like you understood what was happening within the scene, unlike Doctor Strange, which was just like acid trip nonsense. Like within a scene, you say, okay, like I'm grounded and I understand what I'm reading. I just don't understand what's happening in between the scenes because it's not giving me that information yet. But that's kind of the point of like it on, getting through the layers of the onion to find out what the story is. And like, even at the end, I just read issue 2, which came out today. Even at the end of that, like, I still don't really know what's happening. But, I like that. I don't like, I'm always yelling about exposition. Like this book does not have that at all. But at the same time, like I never felt lost in the narrative. I felt like it was everything that I was missing was very intentionally left out. And I did not see the end coming.
Does issue 2 jump around the same way between the pre-apocalypse and post-apocalypse?
Sort of. So
okay.
Like almost
I didn't know if this was just a jumping off point and it was going to be a post-apocalyptic story from here on.
So almost the whole spoilers for issue 2. Almost the whole second issue takes place in the future.
Okay.
And then right at the end of the second issue, it jumps back to the present.
Okay.
So it's almost the reverse where
like
the last couple pages are in the present, but the whole issue takes place in the future. I don't know which one's the future, or if it's the future, or if it's the present and the past, or the present. And the future,
long enough for him to grow a beard is really all we know, right?
Yeah. So like,
because the girl looks similar in age, she doesn't look like she's all of a sudden an adult.
Right. It's not like 10 years later. It's maybe like a year or 2 later.
Yeah, 2.
But the world is not decimated.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of old grizzled man leading savior girl through the apocalypse, like not original at all, right? Like Last of Us, The Road, like all these different stories, like that is,
It's almost
something,
its own genre.
it's a reoccurring theme, right? So that in itself, like, I don't really care. Like, it's good. It's a good shtick. I mean, even Step by Bloody Step was kind of the same thing. But I really liked the way this was told. I liked that they didn't spoon feed me. I liked that it ended on something that was a twist that worked, that made me want to pick up the next issue rather than a last page villain reveal, or, you know, like something that felt really forced to get me to like continue the story. This was just
Right.
like, hey, we're gonna do something crazy now. Hold on to your butts.
I guess, I mean, first, what I really liked is the art. I think
Yeah.
Nick Robles has a really interesting style. It's like a clean and crisp style. Even though it can feel kind of gritty, like the artwork is it
Super
has a
legible.
sharp, yeah. And it gives me like early Jim Lee vibes in some cases. Like, it just feels very like sharp. The artwork doesn't feel in any way cheap, right? So I really love the art. The color work also really, really strong. The way they use the reds and the monotone other monochromatic other panels. There's some really great use of color all the way through. Versus the present and the post and the apocalypse, you know, get back and forth between the two really well. For me, it was a combination of like too much stuff for one issue for me, and too much stuff that I've seen before. Like, I think I'm officially burnt out on a post-apocalyptic stories. Like, and we've got 2 this week.
Yeah, well, the reason why I want to talk about this one first is because it's not like it's a surprise that it's a post-apocalyptic story, whereas
Right.
the other one, like, it's in the title.
It's the entire plot. So for me, like, I think once they revealed the post-apocalyptic thing, I was like, God damn it! Like, I was legitimately like frustrated by that, just because I don't want more of it, not because it doesn't work in the story, not because it's like a bad twist.
It's just like zombies 15 years ago, where like everything was zombies.
It's like you had a big Italian dinner and then they bring out another course and you're like, God damn it. This looks amazing, I'm sure, but I can't eat another bite of this.
You just mean a big Italian dinner. That's what a big Italian dinner is. Just
an Italian dinner.
Just courses after courses and
right.
helpings after helpings.
Here's more pasta. Get ready. I think the main character is interesting, but also, like, I feel like I've seen that before too, where it's like, not sure what's real, and I'm taking my meds and I can't quite. So some of that felt like repetitive. Like, it just, nothing felt like truly original about it.
Sure.
For me. So I kept feeling like I've read portions of this before. And the only thing that really kept me going the whole way was the artwork. I shouldn't say the main thing that kept me going the whole way through was I was enjoying the visuals and the unusual layouts. The paneling is not consistent, and I think that's kind of fun. So sometimes you get like skinny little panels across the middle. I think, other times you get these. It's a splash page, but no, you got the dad in the corner. I think that they do some really cool work that keeps me interested as I'm going along, if that makes any sense. I mean, sure. God, look at this. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Like, that's just bonkers. Love this one.
I can't disagree with that criticism. Like I said, the old man with not old man, but, middle-aged man, young girl, post-apocalyptic journey story. Yeah. Like, guy taking meds and losing time. Sure. Seen it all before. But we read so many books, especially for this show, that like might have a completely original concept, but are just turds.
But have the bad execution, right?
Right. Like, I'll take a, trite plot line, but have it told really well. I'll take that over something that's not told well any day of the week.
I mean, that's fair. The execution here is good. Agreed. I do agree. Yeah, I guess that's my only complaint is, and again, there was a lot crammed in here as far as like the death of this whole plot with the death of his brother, the issues he's having with time and space and reality, this little girl and her powers, his job, his function as going to these houses, and then this post-apocalypse. I felt like there was just a ton going on here.
Yeah, it certainly is. But again, for me, like I never felt like anything was rushed or like not given the time that it needed. But that might be because they weren't telling us everything
Oh,
intentionally.
of course.
So
I did feel like things weren't given enough time. Like I definitely felt like I wanted more time, but maybe that was a way of getting us to feel what the main character was going through. Is
yeah,
that
just this unease of like
he was
being pulled
constantly
out from situations.
so moments weren't really given a ton of time to breathe by JP. Have a good night. And that was probably intentional, just to get us to sympathize and connect to the hero. But for me, it wasn't just jarring. It just felt like it felt more like I was not getting enough time to get into any given moment before I was off to another one, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So, I mean, I could certainly see reading something like this in a trade, but for me, I don't know that today I did not grab the second issue.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I said that was a question. Oh no.
I thought you said oh no.
No. Oh, comma no question mark.
Yeah. So I did not grab the second issue. I saw it. I didn't even pick it up and like skim it. It might have been just that I was having a fun conversation with people in the shop, like one does.
I mean, I don't even look at people in the eye.
I mean, Doctor Strange is looking right at you. I mean, he looks like he's sleepy, but
yeah, he looks very sleepy. I'm probably gonna read at least the first few, so I'll let you know if it's worth.
Well, it sounds like you really enjoyed issue 2. Is that?
I didn't enjoy issue 2 as much, but it still had like some similar storytelling aspects that I liked the way they were doing things, and some things I didn't. Same thing with the first issue, but like it held my interest enough where I want to know where things are going.
Gotcha. Do we know if this is ongoing, limited, or whatever? I don't know that I remember hearing. I'm assuming it's an ongoing. Most Boom Studios books, I feel like, are not minis.
It just says number 2, so it doesn't say like 2 of whatever. I don't know if.
Who does number 2 work for? All right. So, score. What would you score? How would you score this one?
Issue 1 was like an 8.5 for me.
Okay, I think we've like flipped the two grades here.
You're like a 7.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm in that 7.5 range somewhere. The art again. I've never heard of Nick Robles before, but I would absolutely look for other books that he's drawn. That was the biggest hook on me. All right, we good?
I think so.
All right. Let's see. We ready for the book with the really long title that is Once Upon a Time at the End of the World?
You mean Once Upon a Time, Oat the End, Oof the World?
Oof. I will say I picked this up solely because of Jason Aaron.
Yeah.
I really like Jason Aaron as a writer, and I generally look for him when I see that. However, I was also going into this with, God damn it, another post-apocalyptic book.
Yeah. Which, like, Boom putting out 2 in the same month?
It's killing me. There's just too many of these damn books, I will say. And I had the inverse feeling about the art going into this book, where I did not think the art was all that impressive.
Do you think that there's so many post-apocalyptic books right now because people are afraid that the apocalypse is upon us and that they need to figure out like what that's going to look like for us.
They're
So
trying to imagine the future. I mean, I feel like those times of trouble and worry tend to create art that reflects that, right?
For sure.
That seems to be the way of it. So I would not be surprised. I mean, the Red Scare created some pretty trippy Buck Wild movies, right? Yeah. This one is designed, as you can tell kind of on the cover here, as more of an odd, quirky love story. Starts with this young lady, and she's rowing her boat through the post-apocalypse. We're not sure quite what happened. Glaciers melting away, infernos, the bad stuff. She's scraping by, eating scorpions and stuff. One of these scorpions pops a hole in the bottom of her boat. She's upset. It starts sinking. She rows to the nearest piece of land she can find, which apparently is like a giant building. When she goes in, it sets off an alarm on the inside, and this guy wakes up. Where is he? Right there. Awakens to the sound, goes down to go check all the sensors and this periscope thing. What's going on? Somebody's breaking in. He sees that this person, wearing, because she wears this crazy cool mask, is battling a giant tentacled beast. I get Lord of the Rings vibes from it.
Yeah, so this character who's surveying the scene is planning on shooting her.
Yes.
Because he has kind of a game going on with himself where he's counting how many travelers he can kill versus how many travelers this squiddy, wormy things can kill.
Right. So he's watching, he's trying to make up his mind, and she ends up landing a couple of significant blows on this creature, and her mask comes off, and he's kind of like, whoa.
And he's like, oh, it's a babe.
Yeah. I don't think I can kill this person. And so he helps out, turns his gun on the beast, rescues her, and allows her into his secret volcano lair, or it's a building, skyscraper lair. And my favorite part of the book is next, when he's like, I can give you a tour. And they just run through all the different rooms that he's got. It's the pool room. It's the book pool, which is it's what it sounds like.
It's like Scrooge McDuck, except for books.
Yeah. It's the river room. It's the safe room, which is all the pillows. It's the inventing room, the elevator room, mom and dad's room. It's all like blocked off. He says, I can't go in. The orchard. And it's just basically like a supermarket, like all the vending machines.
Yeah, I was going to say, but it's just candy vending machines.
Yeah. All the like vending machines are just like piled up together. And he tries to convince her to stay by basically saying what his experience has been in this post-apocalypse. She's not interested. She seems to be on some mission that we don't fully grasp where she's going. Then we get this like panel of the two of them, and they're
which is super weird.
Yeah, it feels like trading cards all of a sudden. In the
middle I feel like that's something that would be at the beginning or the end of a book, not in the middle, because it's not like there's no dialogue to go on along with like saying like this is her, this is me, or this is him, and this, you know.
Yeah. There's no reference point too as to like who made these. Are they like something one of the characters drew themselves or whatever? I don't know.
Also, I didn't get that it was a boy at first.
Yeah, because his look and her look are very gender neutral.
Right.
So it's easy to not be certain of their genders. So she says, I'm leaving. She needs to keep on going on her way. And she takes off. He's a little bit left behind and frustrated. And he sits outside his parents' room basically saying, I want to go. We get our glimpse inside and see like the corpses of mom and dad laying in bed, holding each other. And then we see, of course, he has run off to join her, and he's wearing what appears to be like an entire village on his back.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. Right there. He is. He's packed everything he could possibly pack. and is now following her.
An impossible amount to carry.
Yeah, and yeah, Scotty Young couldn't draw something more fantastical than that. It would be exactly the same. And she agrees to take him, and they go along. Then it cuts to years later. This is your villain reveal, and we've got this weird person who was like wearing skin, like somebody else's flesh or something. He's carving something up on a table. There's all these knives. It looks like a person, and they're talking to the boy, what appears to be the boy, as an incredibly old man. There he is now, and he's being carved on by the creature thing, whatever. And basically being forced to ask questions about his relationship with the girl, the machine that maybe caused the apocalypse. And it sounds like this naive young boy who is now missing an arm, it looks like right there. Basically, he's grown a pair, and he sounds like he's going to stand up for her. And that's it. It ends with them basically at a stalemate. And did I miss anything? Did I do all right?
I don't think so.
All right. Let's see here.
Other than the reason why he can't go into his parents' room is because their dead bodies are still in there.
Yes. Yeah. It's been quarantined. He implied that he didn't know that he said something to her about how they had gone off, and he was waiting for them to come back.
Is that what he thinks, or is that a lie?
I think that's a lie. I got the feeling that he knew they were dead in there, but we don't get any verification of that.
He also is constantly recording messages to his parents.
Yes. That's part of the narration of the piece. What is going on, Tony? Post-apocalyptic gritty fairy tale telling vampires as in occupation. Indies can get tired as well. I mean, true, right? Let's see. Did I miss anybody? What? I missed Jay. What's going on, Jay? All right. We're good. All right. I will say I'm not going to get another issue of this. I'm good.
Krista said both these are from the same comic company. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they either came out the same week or 1 week after each other, basically, like very recently, back to back.
Exactly.
Yeah, this was a real stinker for me, man. Like mostly because the boy character is so distasteful. Like he is just a rambling motor mouth. And Tricky Trapster said he's got creeper vibes. Like, yeah, the dude's a stalker.
I thought he meant the carver at the end. The guy carving.
No, he put that before we got to the carver.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I just like when one of your two main characters I actively dislike.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make me
you're not supposed to.
Yeah, but like are we not supposed to, or is he supposed to be like charmingly weird?
I took it as intent. I thought it was supposed to be charmingly weird. I didn't care for it.
Which he is not.
He's not. It didn't come off that way.
He is annoying and abrasive.
Yeah.
So.
And you don't get hardly any of her. She's kept her story's kept a mystery. Versus his story is the one we get most of.
She is, very reserved and quiet and hesitant to say a lot, which my kind of person.
Yeah, so for me, I was probably having post-apocalypse fatigue in a pretty significant way at this point. And just, I would say, echoing some of the stuff I said about the last one, there was just not a lot here that I felt like was original, interesting, captivating, exciting, any of it. I guess I could say I kind of liked the end when we got the Carver bad guy, but it was like, I don't care.
Yeah, Krista said introducing characters a little out of context and then jump to a different setting. Yeah, I mean, like on paper, these are the same book.
Right.
On like the loosest outline, which like is strange and there is like this phenomenon of movies coming out at the same time, like The Illusionist and The Prestige, where
Finding Nemo and
Shark Tale,
Shark
and
Tale.
where like these two competing studios, theoretically, without knowing that the other one is doing this thing, both put out movies that are, I mean, The Illusionist and The Prestige are not the same movie by any stretch, but like when you're watching the trailers, you're just like, oh, this is about old-timey magicians. You know, how does this happen? And I forget what the phenomenon is called, but they have some like name for it. So
it's the Armageddon effect, the deep impact effect.
Deep impact Armageddon effect. So like, yeah, that could be what's happening here, except for it's the same company, so they know they're putting them both out.
And it could easily just decide to have one come out a month later or whatever.
Yeah. Weird stuff.
It is weird, wild stuff. Was there anything else you wanted to say about it, or are you ready to like just move on?
I could keep dumping on it, but
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'll give it a 5. I don't know. That's not 3.
Like 3.5.
There it is.
Like the art was fine, but like I didn't like it really.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't bad per se. Like it was fine. Like there was, you know, a decent artist. I just didn't care for it. And like I said, I disliked the effectively main character so much that like I just. But what's up, Chris?
You missed us crapping on Jason Aaron's new book, so I guess right on time. So that's 3 books. We've gone through 3 books. We're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Did you want to finish off with Poison Ivy?
Yeah, sure. So we did talk about Poison Ivy first 3 issues, I want to say, a few months back.
Yeah.
Like and then issue 6 came out last month.
Yep. And 7 came out today.
And it kind of wrapped up the first story arc.
Yes, this issue 6 is the end of the first storyline, and apparently was supposed to be the finale, but now they've extended it a second story arc. Is that accurate?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be a mini series, but typically mini series don't have story arcs, so
this is true. It's one of your favorite pastimes, Chris? I didn't know that. I usually think I'm cheering him on a little bit, but maybe not. All right, so the first arc is done. The arc concerned Poison Ivy, frustrated from what happened in the DC universe when she lost her somewhat omnipotent power and was reverted to a more mortal form. And in this miniseries of the 6 issues we read here, she was attempting to basically wreak havoc on Earth and restore the balance by releasing these fungal spores, and knowing that it would cause her own death, or firmly believing it would kill herself, she just sort of traveled what was basically the Northwest US and worked her way, I think it was Wyoming, Montana, towards the ocean, and was on her way to releasing and destroying the Earth, believing there was no way to solve it, that it would kill her, and then by the time Batman caught up with her, it'd be too late anyways. It wouldn't matter. So the previous issues had a lot of that.
Yeah. Now, I don't remember exactly which one is the case, but is she doing this despite the fact that she thinks it's going to kill her, or is she doing this because she thinks she's dying?
I took it as that this was killing her.
Okay.
And that she was sort of using it as a suicide.
I thought she was dying, and she was like, if I'm dying, I'm taking you with me, type of thing. But I
may need to read it again.
Yeah, I have to go back and reread it to get that. But like the narration is her writing a letter basically saying like, and we find out in issue 5 that she's writing it to Harley.
Yes, because I took it as the heartbreak of losing her powers and the relationship ups and downs with Harley led her to this. And I totally agree, because there's one right there.
Yeah.
And yeah, we started with Trad, and you can catch that on the replay, but we definitely liked it.
Either way, she is going to all sorts of lengths, and she like gets a job at a Amazon-like company, but a much smaller scale, where she's working in the shipping division, where she is, putting these spores in the boxes as she packs them, so they'll get shipped all over the United States. And we also get kind of some flashbacks to her being created, I guess.
Yeah, so we have the villain. Is it Dr. Woodrow? The character from the Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plays a big part in this, because for me, I don't know if it's happened before. Maybe you can correct me. This seems to be the first time they've really connected Poison Ivy with the green, which is the essence of nature's life force on Earth in the DC universe. Is that accurate?
Well, I think, isn't that how she came back in Heroes in Crisis through the green?
Oh, is it?
I think
I'm trying to remember.
So I mean, I think she has been connected, but like this is certainly continuing that very directly, where she keeps talking about the Green Man.
Yeah.
And who turns out to be this guy.
Yeah. The one of the primary villains in the early Alan Moore Swamp Thing stuff. I don't know if he comes back, because I haven't finished the Alan Moore Swamp Thing, so I don't know.
Well, he's not coming back after this.
I mean, right? So as she's been going along, the spores have been taking on a life of their own, literally. And Dr. Woodrow is at the center of that, and we see him kind of threatening her with the abilities that he has. I'm at a loss to kind of explain his power at this point, beyond just basically trying to destroy the green by corrupting it.
Mm-hmm. Which has kind of been like a theme. Like that's what
for him.
Well, like within the stories of the green over the years too. It's like
right. So this issue has to do with her trying to find a way to defeat him, and ultimately utilizing her relationship to the green to find her power again. Just as her like transforming in the story here, and I guess absorbing and crushing him. Sorry, there's a lot of ads in this book. And then he sort of is melted. Oh, they call it, the Floronic Man is the faux superhero name. So she has to sacrifice her plan of destroying the world in order to stop Jason Woodrow. And in doing so, she seemingly kind of looks like I'm sorry, it seems like Batman's in this book, but I swear he's not. Just sort of like in shadow. She feels like she's going to die, and he's trying to still corrupt her. Let's see here. So then she eats his ass.
Yeah. After she kills him, she's like, basically says he's going to regenerate, so I'm just going to eat him.
Yeah.
And she says like, oh, it's basically just like mushrooms and other stuff at this point, but like it's still pretty gnarly, and I'm having a hard time getting it down. Like, yeah, no kidding.
So disturbing. It's so wonderful and disturbing at the same time. And then we get the art shift, and I don't know if this bugged you. So
okay.
Do you want to save that for the end, or
no? We can talk about it right now. But it happens in a couple issues.
Yeah,
where
sorry, go ahead.
It's not even like one artist for this time period, one artist. No. It's just like we had someone do 9 pages and then someone else do the rest.
Yes.
And like, I'm fine with, different artists working. Like if a storyline is 2 storylines, one artist doing one artist doing another, or like a one-off story in a series where it's, in between story arcs, a different artist doing it. But it just takes me right out of it when in the middle of a story, it just switches from one artist to another.
Exactly.
What a
and
bummer.
I do think this is the flaw of, oh, we're going to extend this to the 12 issues.
Right.
And they've got to throw in a bunch of new pages to finish off the first arc. And the artist who is the main artist on the title, is it Takara?
Yeah.
I think is the primary artist. Marcio Takara comes in at the end, and I really do love his style.
Yeah, much better.
It's way better. The look of Ivy is way stronger, and so certainly this felt like a welcome. Like, oh, this is so good to have. It's like, oh, I'm home again. And this is that bit at the end where she connects to something living beyond a plant. This girl and this scarf that she's holding, and it's a relief and a release for her to be back to her normal self again. And it's almost like she finds the hero in her, I guess you could say. And then you see Harley reading the letter,
and she says, like, I'm coming to find you.
Yes, exactly. Even though it seems like Poison Ivy doesn't want to be found. And lastly, out of the back of the van is all the like spore monsters that she's been creating, and they're heading to it looks like Seattle because he sees a Seattle super, what's it called, the Space Needle. And that's kind of the end. Sorry.
So yeah, I don't know if that she doesn't want to be found, but she does reference, and I have not been reading all Harley stuff, so I don't know.
No, me neither.
But like she references the fact that like she said stuff she can't take back, and that they had clearly like a falling out of sorts.
Right.
So she's writing her this letter to basically like apologize and explain herself and tell her how much she loves her. And so I don't know if she doesn't want to be found, or if she just thinks she shouldn't be found because she doesn't think Harley's going to want to see her again.
Right.
But either way, they're setting up the fact that Harley's coming to find her to help her. So I assume that's going to be in the next arc.
Yeah, I'm assuming the next arc is the connection of the two and the dealing with the spore monsters and stuff.
The reason I really wanted to talk about this, and I feel like we might have touched on it the last time, but this time it became like so much more direct and like unapologetic, is how anti-capitalist, pro-environmentalist they make her narration. Like,
right.
Like no question. It basically says like people with money should be killed. Like capitalism is destroying the world. We need to kill all of humanity to save the world because it's more important than people. And like it reads almost like a manifesto of sorts. And I think the only reason DC allowed this to be put out is because she's a villain. And so because a bad guy is saying it, it's okay. But like you read it in a vacuum and it's just like Elon Musk can go to hell.
I mean, there's definitely it's all like you mentioned, it's subtle all the way through. When you see her working for a big corporation, you can see her ire at how the business is run and the decisions it's making and the impact it's having. But this is definitely a little more plain here.
Yeah, like there's one part in one of these later issues where I forget exactly what she says, but she basically goes on like a mini little rant about capitalism and how bad it is.
I know. I'm surprised Jason's not here to talk about this. So what did that do you so did I guess the question has to become like, do you feel like it took something away from the narrative or add something to the narrative, or was it neutral?
No, I mean, pardon me for being on your channel, but fuck capitalism. So like I'm all for that.
No, but even if you agree with the message, the question is like, does it distract from the story, or does it add to the story, or is it neutral?
No, for me, like Poison Ivy should feel that way. So it makes sense.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, like she has always been, I want to make the world green again. Like that's her whole thing.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I didn't question it as being weird at all. I just was surprised at how direct they were being with it.
Gotcha. because for me it worked as she's becoming increasingly unstable, and as she is becoming increasingly potentially near her own death and being aware of it. That increase worked for me, and the mentality that she had suited her 100%. In the same way of if you told a Riddler story and it had all sorts of funny little puzzles all the way through it, it would fit that mentality, you know.
Right.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, she's on brand.
Totally on brand. I mean,
that's what I like about her. I think she's generally a very consistent character.
Like, I'm not going to say this is like one of the best stories I've ever read, or like it doesn't, even, it doesn't hold a candle to, I compare it to Lonely City, just simply because it's like a Bat universe character solo story. And like the biggest hit against it for me is the switching of the artists.
Yes.
But like it's been enjoyable. Like it's not like an all-time great story. I'm not gonna like run out and buy a hardcover of it. But like I've been enjoying every issue. Like the good fun reads.
Yeah, and I will say, like I am all in on this. I just love the character. I'm so excited to have see her get her own story. And to Chris's point, it's had the Poison Ivy books had phenomenal covers, great variants.
I've gotten all the covers except for the foil ones, and not store exclusives, but like all the regular covers.
And I think the story is interesting, and I think it involves her character in interesting ways, and pushes her story in interesting ways without treading water that had maybe been done before. I feel like there's a lot of really good positives. And for me, the only negative has been, and I want to blame DC editorial, but maybe that's just me. It's just the changing of artists. And I think it happens because they push a book that's not done yet, and they want to get more out, or they want to milk a little more out of it. So they stretch it and they bring in a replacement artist to do it, and they don't care.
Yeah.
Versus is the story done? Is the story ready? Can we start publishing it? Will it be ready?
Because schmucks like us still buy it.
Harley is basically only in it in the sense that Poison Ivy's writing a letter to her, and so she's the intended recipient. And there's only 2 issues where Harley genuinely appears,
but one of them she's not even really there.
No, it's basically Poison Ivy's getting it on with a new girl and thinking about Harley. The final issue is this one, and the final issue of this arc is issue 6 from November, and that one shows her reading the letters at the end and deciding, I'm going to come get her. That's pretty much Harley her part in the whole thing. It's worse than mid-run for me because it's mid-issue. This issue is like the first 13 pages one artist, the last 8 pages a different artist.
I think 5 and 6 did it, didn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think it wasn't
it was like 9 pages in the.
Yeah, and the main artist I really do like. I think it was Marco Takara, something like this. Really, really great. I really, really like the style. I don't think the other one works halfway as much, and it does. It makes me very mad as well. Between issues is bad enough, but in the middle of an issue, it's like, oh my gosh. So that moment was very jarring, and it's coming because the amount of like names for this issue is
the credits are just
a ton, right? There's a ton of names here on the front, on the like title page.
And again, like if you have a situation like, I can't think of the book, but some Jeff Lemire title did this where he was drawing like one part of the book and someone else was drawing the other part of the book, and it was consistent. So like when you're in this storyline, it's one artist. When you're in this storyline, it's another. But it's like this is basically mid-scene.
Yeah. And it's clearly not done for a creative reason. It's done for a financial reason. It's done for the ability to expedite the product.
Yeah, for sure.
And in no way is done for creativity, right?
Yeah, and like both artists that they used, like are. I agree. I like the main artist more, but the other it's like they're not a
They're
bad
not
artist.
bad. No,
Like
I
I don't
don't
want
think
to like
either
crap
one is
on them
bad.
for being like less than, but it's just
No.
like I don't want you on this book. Draw another book. I'll be happy to look at it.
Yeah, or do the second story arc. One person does the first story arc and the second. Like it doesn't between issues doesn't bother me at all. It's the in the middle of the issue, and it feels very much like a
I wouldn't
shitty
say it doesn't
editor.
bother me at all. Like it's still
as long
like,
as they're like they're doing their work. I don't know.
For me, it's like you finish the story arc. If it's a new story arc, a new artist, fine. But like if it's especially when it's back and forth, where it's just like Chris is saying how Chichetto would crush 3 to 5 issues, and then there would be another artist for a couple issues, and then it would go back to Chichetto. It's like just slow down.
Stark. That was pretty stark.
Yeah.
This week, are you saying what should you be picking up this week? I don't know. I haven't read anything from this week, but I do know that Powerbomb issue 7 came out this week, so I'm definitely going to be talking about that when we meet next time.
And I
Jared's and Shaner on Strange Adventures. Okay.
Yeah, same thing. Where it's just like
it fits the narrative. It's a creative choice, not an editorial choice.
Right. I'm either missing issue 4 or can't find my copy of issue 4, but by next month I'll sort it out. Okay. So we can talk about it.
Well, yeah. So I mean, I guess that's the end of it. I would probably give this issue a 7, but the series overall would probably be an 8 or an 8.5. Like I'm really enjoying Poison Ivy, and I'm excited for the next issue, which I got right here. So I'm looking forward to that. And it does not say Takara anymore, so we have a new name on the cover, but it's only got one name, so that's positive.
Yeah, like I guess I'm hesitant to go to an 8 for the series, but 7.5 sounds too low. So somewhere in between there, like I said, it's very enjoyable. It's just not like one I'm going to write home about, like it's a good solid read that I'm happy to pick up each month, but I'm not going to be going into work the next day being like, did you read Poison Ivy? Although I did ask someone if they were reading it today because I wanted to make the joke about the anti-capitalism stuff.
You're a liar.
Yeah, I mean, if you know me, there's one thing you know about me, I'm a liar. Just like me and Henry Rollins.
7.825.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, like, I think it'll read pretty well in trade.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny because you said you're not going to get a hardcover for it. And I was like,
I mean, I
might consider it if it's a larger format with all the variants in the back. Like, I might just.
I would buy like a covers book. Like I have the Fables James Jean covers book.
It's a pretty good book.
And the Preacher Glenn Fabry covers book. I'd buy something like that probably if there was especially if it's in a larger format. But
nice.
I mean, I'm going to continue to pick it up. So,
as far as next episode of this show, when we're meeting again at the beginning of January, Alec is going to be hosting our year-end wrap-up show. So we're going to be reviewing and sharing our favorite series from 2022. Lots of books that we've been championing all year will probably come to shine yet again at the top of the list. What's up? Ryan is in the chat. What is going on?
Just in time to see us leave.
So make sure you subscribe to Why Will Comics,
or don't,
and you'll get to hear all of our best of 2022 gold.
Yeah. Chris said 5-6 people recommended Poison Ivy. Yeah, like it's a cool, fun read. Like I'm not saying it's bad. Like I would recommend it. I'm just saying like don't expect to have your socks knocked off. Like it's just a good, solid story. It's not like anything that's gonna blow your mind.
And I was one of those 5 or 6.
Well, so 4 or 5
then. Yeah, so I want to make sure that everybody knows we won't be doing a best of December list. Instead, we'll just sort of lump it all into a best of 2022.
And I'm sure you can guess at least what one of mine's going to be.
I think there's definitely, a few
spoilers
that we've mentioned a few times that are definitely going to come up again. Solid story from DC feels like a win. I mean, there you go.
Harsh critique for DC, but not unfair.
But I think both of us are going to have one DC book right near the top of our lists.
For sure.
So there, that's a highlight. Will we be able to say the same for Marvel? Shots fired.
Wait and see.
Anything else coming up that you want to let people know about?
Yeah, we got D&D on Sunday nights.
We do, over on JP's channel.
On JP's channel. Otherwise, we were going to try to do finish out our Usagi Yojimbo, but obviously December is a tough time for people to coordinate, so we're going to probably wait till the new year to try to do that.
Little Bird was not 2022. Although I keep waiting for the sequel.
If I can in any way bend the rules to fit it in, I'll put it in every year.
There you go. Tomorrow I am on Kavi's channel, Comic Books NYC. He wants to do a little discussion of owning movies, DVDs, Blu-rays, practical media, actual physical media. And he's purchased a bunch of movies this last year, and he wants to kind of highlight some of the movies he's purchased, talk a little bit about owning actual media versus, streaming and the value in those things. I am obviously a fan of this. Second to my comic collection is my DVD collection, and I'm a big fan. So I'm excited to share some of the movies I've purchased this year and just talk a little bit about the value of physical media. And we're going to be joined by Carlito Classico.
Only boomers like us care about it.
I mean, he made some really great points in our little group chat about the benefits. So I think if people tune in, they might, come to feel the same way.
I enjoy a good piece of physical media. So,
well, and if they can get back to making decent Blu-ray players that actually last a little while, then I think we'd all really be set.
Why would they do that when they can make them break and make you buy a new one?
Bing, bing. All right, so that's it, friends. Thanks for coming by. We just went over an hour. Hope to see you back over on Alex's channel at the very start of January somewhere, the first couple of weeks of January, depending on where we are for New Year's and what the internet's like wherever I go. But thanks, everybody, for coming. Don't turn your back on the ocean. And,
that's my line.
Oh, yeah, that's your line. Don't turn your back on Doctor Strange because Droopy Eyes is watching. Bye, guys.